into Java, basically full stack developer you are, but more into Java, right?
I can say more into Angular. If you
More into it.
take my experience completely on the scale 1 to 10, I can give a 6 for Angular and 4 for the Java.
Okay. Any cloud
Yes.
experience you have?
Cloud experience means like in the first company, it's a startup based, right? So we need to involve
Hmm.
in everything from scratch to end. And there we got involved in deploying the application in AWS. So there I got to know about the EKS, how to create the cluster, and how can create a load balancer there, and how can we configure the API gateway. It was approximately a year back episode. This thing.
Okay. So it
Yes,
was
yes.
I can see in your resume you are like it was a microservice application. So first one or second one
Uh,
in
first project application. It's a microservice means there are only two services. One is the security service and the one is the another uploading service. But later we got to know that AWS is giving a free Cognito service. Then we got removed that security service and
Hmm.
we moved to the Cognito. So that's why we don't
Okay.
have a chance to implement the architecture of microservices, because we only left with one service, right? So there is no need for the microservice architecture for that.
Okay.
Yes, yes,
Fine.
yeah.
Fine. And
So
about database, like which database have you worked on?
the both companies worked on MongoDB, but in the second company I didn't get a chance to work on that. But in the first company, it's a completely MongoDB database.
Any experience in SQL or you know about it?
SQL means I went through it in the beginning days of my career, but when it
Hmm.
comes to the experience level, I don't have any SQL things. But I can
And
write like a queries, like a simple queries like select star from the table and where age is less than or greater than 20 years. These kind of queries I can manage. But when it comes to this production level or some I mean like experience level, I can make it happen in the SQL, because just because
okay,
of lack of experience. But I have that knowledge of how it works, so that's why it makes uh, it it will be very useful for me to learn it in less than within 15 days.
do you know about what is subquery in MySQL?
No,
No?
no, I'm sorry,
Okay.
no, I'm sorry for
Fine.
that.
So, like you said, you worked on MongoDB.
Yes, yes,
So, for MongoDB, like the application,
yes, yes.
so you did you use JPA or you write the queries in
uh
your application?
Mongo, when it comes to the using the Mongo inside Java, so Mongo will directly give us a template.
Mm.
The Spring Boot will configure everything inside that, and it will throw simply a template object. So using the template, we can write our own queries. So that we need to create a repository class for that. I mean,
Okay,
JPA
so
means persistent API means like I didn't have that kind of terminology knowledge in using that SQL. I think maybe these JPA terms and everything involved in SQL. But when it comes into using this MongoDB, I didn't hear that JPA and everything, because when you configure the MongoDB inside the Spring Boot, it will directly give us a template. The Spring Boot will give us a Mongo template. We directly start using that. For that, we write some separately in a repository class. That's simple as.
okay, so for
Yes,
example, I want to uh return a list of something like list of like we have a table list
yes,
of
yes.
users, right? So we I want
Okay,
to return a list of users from that
okay,
MongoDB in our
okay,
application. So
okay.
you are saying you have a repository class. So
Yes, yes, yes.
what is there in repository class which is resulting in this
So
expect?
in the repository class, we have some methods like a get, like we our own defined methods. Like for example, a method name called get list, right? Inside that, we use the Mongo template. Mongo template object is nothing but, so in the Spring Boot we have application properties file, right? So application when we add that MongoDB path into pom.xml, the Maven will download everything inside that. After that, when we configure the application properties file inside the Spring Boot application, it will create a Mongo template. So we can directly extract that Mongo template using the auto. After that, we can write the queries. So, for example, Mongo template dot find inside that query will give us a list of objects. That's what how it works inside
So
the
for getting a list of query, what will you write? List of users. What will you write specific?
query, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
query
we
or
have a
function or method, like whatever
yeah
you create.
yes. So for that we have a query object as well. So inside this Java, we have a query object. So using that query object, we write something inside that, and will query object will return that. So I think you got my point.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And how do you handle exceptions?
Inside the Java, right?
Yeah, like there are various ways, like uh, uh in Java, in Spring Boot, in microservices. Like, so you can give me different ways, like for different
So
environment. How do you
we
handle it?
we can implement them using the conventional way of how we handle in the Java, like using the try catch block. But when it comes to using the Spring Boot particularly, I'm sorry that I don't have a proper experience with that. But we can have some of the annotations like controller advice and exception handling. We can use those annotations using to create some of the global exception handling, so that we can throw the exception to that user using that Spring Boot application.
Okay.
Yes,
Uh,
I can.
okay.
Yes. I can name that a
So
control advisor is the one annotation and exception handler is the one annotation to use to handle the exception using the Spring Boot.
fine. Okay,
Yes.
let's take a scenario. As you said,
Sure.
you are into full stack. For
Yes.
example, uh, there is a list of users, right?
Yes.
Again,
Okay.
and
Okay.
some admin is trying to search a particular user
Okay.
from a UI,
Okay.
but the user is not there in the
Okay.
database. So, what
Okay.
exception, what error needs to be thrown from the backend, and how will you handle it at UI? How will you
Yes.
show a message?
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. I can explain you this scenario. First of all, when we ask the details about the some of the user from the front end, it will simply create a request to the backend. So inside the backend we have some service classes and repository class. So repository class, when it comes to MongoDB, if there is no existence of that user, that empty list will be written. So for example, if the empty list return, in that case I think we need to create our user defined exception. So in if the I can say that user defined exception should throw like a user not found error. So when we throw that error to the front end, in the front end we use in for example in particular Angular we use a method called subscribe to listen to all these backend responses. After that, inside that subscribe we have three blocks. One block is a data block, and second block is a error block, and third block is the final block, which we can see in the Java like a try catch, and finally we have in Angular like a data, error, and finally. So if that information we got the proper way, it will the data block will be executed, or else the error block will be executed. Because of error block will be executed once the backend throws the exception. So here in our case scenario, we need to throw our user defined exception like user not found exception. So after the error block in the front end triggered, so there we can write some of the coding in the TypeScript to print out there some HTML alert boxes or something else. This is how it works in the uh,
Okay, one question.
complete. Yes.
So from backend, multiple errors can be thrown, right? Like user not
Uh,
found, internal
yes,
server
yes,
error. So how
yes.
will you
Okay.
handle different errors at front end, or will you show a single message? Like we show
Yes.
different messages, right?
Yes. So in that case of getting the multiple errors, uh, I didn't went through the scenario, but when it comes to the using the error block in the front end, we can catch the appropriate error in the error block in particularly. So that's how we can make it. For example, if
Uh yeah.
yes.
How can you catch?
Like that we catch the appropriate in the catch block. For example, if there is a arithmetic exception or null pointer exception like that in the Java, we write some different catch blocks, right? So there we can also write different error blocks. Apart from the error blocks, in the particular error blocks, what we did in the earlier in our project, we take the error into the error block. We check that message particularly using the if condition. For example, the error comes with a into the front end as a object. In that object, we have a property called message. We use that message, and we'll based on the if condition, we go through it, or based on that error code, like a 500, whether it is a 500, or whether it is a 400, whether it is a 200. Based on that, we go through that proper exception handling in that front end.
Okay.
Yes, yes. And the second method of what I told you right now is what we followed in our previous project.
So you said that a particular block, like a data block or an error
Yes,
block,
yes,
will
yes,
execute.
yes, 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 yes.
So, for example, I'm not throwing, right?
Yep.
I am from backend. I am uh, sending a response, but the
Okay.
status code is 201.
Okay, which means success, right?
Created, yeah, success created.
Yes, yes, yes. The
So,
both 200 series is nothing but related to success.
yes. So,
Yes,
which
yes,
block will execute?
yes. Which block will be executed means obviously the data block will be executed.
It will be automatically executed, or we have to
Yes,
do
yes.
something.
No, 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 no. It will be automatically executed because the angler can find whether we received the data or error.
And if I send the response from the backend with
Yes.
the correct data, but if
Okay.
I send the error code as 404, then what will happen?
Okay. Okay. Then what will happen, right? Mm, I'm sorry, I don't have idea about that, but yes, I can say it will be executed in the error block.
And why, according to you?
Uh, because based on that error codes, we can find that whether we are receiving that error or not, right?
Okay, so basically
Yes.
that block, the Angular is apart from 200 series, everything will come into
Yeah.
error block according to you. Is it like that?
I can't say confidently that to you because I don't think in that way. I mean, I didn't think means I didn't work in that way. I'm sorry, but I'm a little bit confused about that. Whether it's a good question to know that whether it will be executed based on the information or based on the error codes, but I don't know. A little bit confused in that question. But I can
Okay.
say that it will be executed in the on the uh, using this error codes. I need to check it after this interview. I'm sorry about this.
Okay, fine. How good you are in coding in Java, basically?
Coding, I'm not a well experienced. I cannot say I'm very experienced, but I'm a medium range coder coding. The more I have, the more coding experience in TypeScript rather than Java because of my Angular experience level.
Hmm.
So I code more in
Okay,
the TypeScript rather than Java.
fine.
Yes, yes. I can say I'm a medium level, not a beginner level, but I can say I'm a medium level coding experience. I have that coding experience.
Okay,
Yes.
you know about different I'm jumping to Spring Boot Java now. Do you know
Sorry.
different type of HTTP methods?
Yes, this one called get, post, put, and delete.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
So can you tell me the difference between get and post?
Get and post. Right? So get will simply uh, uh, get will not take any body from the front end to back end. It will get some data using that either path variables or either using URL. It will take that data to the back end and will process that back end and will take simply give it to the front end. When it comes to the post, we can send there a body, a structure of body like an object or JSON like that. We can have that
Okay.
facility in that post. Yes.
And put and patch, difference between put and patch.
Put and patch, I can say if there is one record to update, one record not, if there is one property in the object to be updated, we can go for the patch.
Okay.
So when it comes to put, if we need to create a new resource, we can go for the put.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you tell me how can we perform the validation at the back
It's,
end in the backend application, not at the front end?
yes, yes. Using the Spring Boot, we have some annotations for example, if you take a DOA class, like in the like a model class, right, for a
Hmm.
MongoDB. So in that model class, we have some annotations like minimum, maximum for the variables like email or something like. So by default, Spring Boot will validate them. But when it comes to the using it inside the controller, we have an annotation called valid. For using that valid, we can validate the information that we got from the front end.
Do you know what is server.port?
Inside the Spring Boot, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, if we need our application to run on a particular port number, we can give it there. Server.port is equal to, for example, 8080. The application will run on 8080. Or else, if you want to give it 8081, the application will start running on 8081.
Features of Java 8.
Uh, some of the features are like functional interface, Lambda functions, Lambda expressions, and streams and method references. That's all I know.
So did you use them? Do you know like how
Uh,
to use them?
in the real life, I mean, in the real projects, we didn't use them, but
Okay.
I'm little bit aware of them. I'm little bit aware of them how they work.
Okay, fine.
Yes, yes,
mm, and about this AWS Lambda, do you know what is this?
yes. AWS Lambda functions, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. For example, I'll give you example with a scenario. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, for example, in our previous application, so whenever the user logged in or a new user created, I need some function to run. So for example, after user logged in, I need to update that logged in time in the my database. In the AWS, we use the database NoSQL database in the AWS. So there we need to update the last logged in time. So there we use the function inside using the Python. We configure the database connection inside there. There we use that Lambda function to update that last logged in time in the database. Uh, for example, to trigger some of the functions in using the AWS facility, we go with Lambda functions.
Okay, how did you trigger? Like what configuration? How did you achieve
Uh,
this?
I I exactly didn't remember that. I'm sorry, but this is the scenario what we did. Whenever the user logged in, the new AWS Lambda function, which is running in Python, will be executed. After that, inside the Python, a connection to the database will be created, and there we update the last logged in time. So this is the exact scenario we used, but I'm sorry that I not involved in configuring